What? Okay. How did you two meet?
Okay, me and Andrew, we met at an institute dance.
We met at an institute dance.
We just danced once together and then we had a class together.
Then we met at a Christmas party, and then we had a sociology class together.
He thought I didn't like him because being the social butterfly I am, I bounce around and talk to a new person every day. So I sat by him, I got to know him the first day, and then I sat by someone new. And he thought, man, she really doesn't like me. But luckily, on the last day, he had the courage to call me. And because I'm also usually the last person to leave the class, I assumed he had left something in the class and gave him a call. Answered and said, "Did you forget something?" And he played it off really smooth. Yeah, I forgot to ask you on the date.
What was your first impression of him?
Well, I thought she was really pretty.
He's really tall.
And then she said some things at the Christmas party that I think she thought was supposed to be a joke, but it was actually like really mean. So I thought she was a really mean person at first.
That was probably my first impression, is that he was tall and he was cute. But I didn't really think anything of it.
But then I got to know her, and then I realized that she is incredible.
I think at that time I was just so self-conscious because I was right out of rehab. So I was super self-conscious. And so I didn't really think anything of it. I just thought he was cute. I actually thought he was, for a long time, I thought he was dating another girl who sat right next to him, who was his friend. But she was dating his friend.
So what were you surprised to learn about her?
He likes heavy metal.
I was really surprised at how spiritual she is.
He's probably listening to it right now.
I took her on our first date, and she talked about like two things the whole time, like her recovery and Jesus.
Well, it's interesting because you think you're exactly alike.
Which I thought was awesome, but she said
Yeah.
like your mom told him not to do that because then boys wouldn't date her. But I mean, it would.
I don't think that they have any different opinions of you. You think they're exactly the same person. So it's gonna sound silly, but when I realized that he put his forks in the dishwasher spokes down, I was like, who the heck would even do that? Because we always put our spokes up so that they get clean, but he always puts some spokes down so he doesn't get his hands stabbed. And so I figured, as long as they get clean, it's fine.
When did you know he was the one?
I remember when I got back from my mission, I kind of made a list of things that were important to me in a future companion.
I don't know, because Heavenly Father basically said, why not? Why not him?
So as I went throughout college and as I dated people and went on dates, I kind of loosely followed that guide of things that were important.
And he's like, you love him? And then one day I was in the car with some of my girlfriends and we were driving home from a huge slip and slide YSA activity.
And then I met her and I didn't really think about the list at all, but then a couple, I think a month down the line.
And someone said, hey, are you and Andrew dating? And I was like, yeah, I love him.
I realized she met all those things that I was looking for and more. So.
And I was just said it super excited. I was like, yes, I love him. And they were like, you love him? And I was like, I love him. I was like, that's a big deal. And I realized, yeah, I love him.
What's your favorite thing about her?
She's super patient and loving.
Melainee has to be a strong testimony. He will stand up there and just simply declare with power what he believes to be true.
She also never lies, which is nice.
And I love he's goofy and hardworking.
I don't think she knows how to lie.
I don't have any. Is there anything she does that makes you mad?
I don't know if she's ever been on time in her life.
He probably gets mad at me all the time for being late for things. He has,
we go to my house in Emmett once a month.
I get mad at him for not washing his face. That sounds funny, but in my family, I guess I was taught to take care of your skin is showing a sign of love. And so
I think the last 3 times we left like 4 hours late.
Okay, there's pretty much nothing. But there's one thing. There's these pairs of shorts that are just like, I can't do the hand motion because he might catch on, but they're cutoffs. And they just drive me crazy, but I never said anything.
So she's not the best at the time.
What do you most respect about him? About her?
I respect that Melainee sets standards and boundaries in all aspects of her life.
I respect his responsibility, how he shows up when he says he'll show up. That's something I'm really trying to work on, and he always delivers what he says he'll deliver.
And she does her best to follow this.
And he tries to genuinely be there for people and follow through with his word. I also respect how much he loves his family and how much he wants to be with them all forever.
What are you looking forward to in marriage?
Just that we'll be together all the time.
I mean, I dropped off a queen-size bed at my new apartment today, so.
Because then we can just cuddle all the time. And it's hard when you're hanging out with each other. Okay.
Hey, I mean, you asked. I can give you an answer.
And you have to go in between houses. Sometimes you're just exhausted and you don't want to drive home, but you still gotta drive home.
I am excited to make our lives more intertwined and be able to spend more time together.
So, it'll just be nice to be able to be together.
What's the funniest thing she does?
Oh, he does this dance.
She sometimes goes to kiss me and then like she'll make this weird noise.
So we learned a dance together. It's a swing dance. And
She's like, nah, 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 and like pull away. And I'm like, that's so mean.
one of the dance moves is called an egg beater, and it's where the guy goes around and he spins in a circle over and over again, and the girl just goes around, walks around him, but the guy has to put his arms up in the air.
She actually does that a lot, like almost daily.
Because he's spinning, and I remember when we learned the dance move, he just kept spinning and spinning and spinning, and I literally kept walking around him until I couldn't handle it anymore.
But it's really funny.
His face was so dead serious, I just fell to the ground laughing. And he's very punny. He always has a pun to come back with.
What physical attribute do you love most about her?
His smile.
I think very beautiful, even when she's not wearing makeup, which I think is great about her.
It's the $1 million smile.
What is your favorite thing to do with each other?
Oh goodness.
Being outside is fun.
It's probably dance and scream in the car.
Going to the park, swings.
We jam really hard to Gasolina because apparently that's part of his culture because he's half Latino.
Just really anything together, watching a movie, TV, things like
Yeah, just rocking out in the car. That's probably my favorite thing to do, or just dancing around the house.
When did you realize you loved her?
that. I think I realized I loved her after I broke up with her.
Like I said, it was probably in that car.
Yeah, I broke up, well, she broke up with me and then I broke up with her like 3 weeks later.
We went to his hometown and we were at the top of this monument.
Because I thought it would be for the best, because she was always talking about how much she wanted to go on a mission.
And I said, I think that I love you. It wasn't I love you, it was I think that I love you. And you know his response?
And so I kind of felt like a distraction to her recovery and her going on a mission.
We can work on that together. What the heck? That makes it sound like it's some kind of problem. Like, I love you. Oh, well, we can work on breaking that bad habit together or something like that.
And so I thought that it would be the best for her if I broke up with her.
But I don't blame him because I am a very, like, hesitant person, so he was probably following my lead to not be too forward in the beginning. But the best part about that moment was he probably would be embarrassed because I'm telling you all this, but he said,
And I did, and then a couple days later, I kind of realized how important she was to me.
This would be a perfect High School Musical moment. And then he just started singing, "Soaring by." And I, of course, joined in. I have all 3 CDs. I got that down pat. And that's when I loved him, when he started singing High School Musical.
How much I felt for her, so I took it back.
No, I'm kidding. But what kind of guy would you ever find that will sing High School Musical with you? That's the best ever. He's just the
Okay.
best.
Who said I love you first?
I think I said I love you first, but she said I think I love you first.
He definitely said the official "I love you." We were in a blanket fort and reading children's books to each other.
It's a tie, we both said it.
What's your proposal story?
So he tricked me real good.
September 4th, we went down to Utah.
I'll admit, I thought the whole day, I thought I was on the ball, and I thought I knew that he was gonna propose. And we went down to Salt Lake. I got dressed up. I put on my pink pumps because if someone's proposing with me, I'm wearing my big pink pumps.
And I introduced her to my grandparents.
I was really confused because they were so welcoming, and I was like, just girlfriend, like, I already feel like I love you and you're my family, but this is awkward. They're so sweet and I love them to death. And they knew what was going on.
And then we went to the Hubble Zoo.
And we saw the cutest little baby orangutans.
And then we went to Tucano's.
And we both ate so much, ate until our bellies hurt.
We went to the Salt Lake Visitor Center and toured around and everything.
And to this day, I'm not exactly sure if he actually knew where the visitor center was or if it was like a distraction to stall for time to get me to try and guide us to the visitor center. But knowing my sense of direction, of course I went to the wrong visitor center.
I got a couple friends from Pocatello to come and take pictures. So we were in front of the reflecting pool right outside of the temple.
He sat me down in front of the font and he was like, "Hey, let's photobomb that guy's picture." And of course I was down to photobomb someone's picture. And so he sat there.
And earlier she was like, "Are you gonna propose?" And then I was like, "You'll know if I propose."
Okay, whoa, I gotta back up. Because in front of the Christus, he said, "Okay, now you can tell me how your dad won't propose." Because before, he didn't want to know. Because my dad also proposed in Salt Lake City, and he didn't want to be a copycat.
Yeah.
And so I told him the story, and he said, "Oh, that's not what I would do. I would probably write you a handwritten poem or a song." And I was like, "Oh, that's so sweet." Because it is. And
Then we're in front of the reflecting pool, and we sit down and I pull out a poem and I start reading it to her. And she's like, "Oh, that was sweet."
at this point, I had given up. I didn't think he was proposing. I had even packed down his coat because that was going to be the ultimate test. One time we got out of the car and I was like searching his coat pockets. There was no box, so I figured, okay, time to slip off the pink pumps and put on my tennis shoes.
It wasn't in a box, it was just in my pocket.
Just the ring?
Yeah.
So back to the fountain. He starts reading this poem that he wrote. And at this point, I should have caught on that something was going on since he had just told me 5 minutes earlier. But I still was just happy and I thought, this is the cutest thing ever. And it went through all the Christmases that we be together. Starting with the first one at the Institute dance, and then the next one a wedding. And then the years following, once with kids, and then growing old together. And it sounds a little sad, the last one, but it was actually really sweet that when one of us passes away, that we'll always be together forever.
And then I got down on one knee and proposed.
And he said, "Melainee, you are the most beautiful and important woman in my life." So, and he paused because he reached into his coat jacket and he couldn't find the ring.
I lost the ring in my jacket. So I was like on one knee, I'm like, "Will you?" And I was like, I can't find it. So I was just stalling. I was like, "Be my, marry me, eternal, forever." And I was just looking for it. I don't remember the exact words.
Earlier we had made wishes, so my response was, "My wish came true, yes!" And I gave him a big hug and a huge kiss, and then he was super frazzled and he looked down at my hands and he was like, what finger do I put it on? And so I had to help him. He was so nervous. It was adorable. Oh my goodness, he's like my dad. He's always falling asleep.
And then afterwards, she told me, she was like, I didn't even get it when you were reading the poem. I just thought it was really cute. I didn't even know you were proposing.
It was really cute. And then there were people clapping, and he was super frazzled by the whole thing. So he kept like looking over there, and I kept saying, no, babe, look at me. Like, this is our moment. And then I looked across the water, and our friends were back there, and they had been filming it. And so it was super sweet.
So did you not fill it in his coat pocket?
No, I couldn't feel it in there. I was super confused. I would have been wearing my pink pumps. But instead, I was wearing my mom's tennis shoes.
Why her?
Why not, Melainee? I mean, she has everything I'm looking for.
Why him?
That's easy. He's handsome. He's hardworking. He's smart. Whether he likes to think so or not. I think what attracted me to him the most is how goal-oriented he was. And also that he supported me and loved me wholeheartedly. He loves every inch of me, my imperfections and all. He's seen me in my darkest moments and in my brightest moments, and he's stuck around. And I know that on our first date, let me give you some insight. My mom had told me, Melainee, you got to stop talking to boys about Jesus and rehab. If you're ever gonna have a second date, you gotta stop talking about it. And so I did, and it worked. Like, the boys would ask me on another date if I calmed down a little bit. But Jesus and rehab, like, those are defining values in my life. When I first went on a date with Andrew, he actually asked me about it, and so he was genuinely interested in my struggle and my story and my testimony, and I was able to share those with him on the very first date. And like you said, like, you know, he asked me on a date soon after, and Cord's response was, he asked you on another date? He must be interested. Do you remember that? My answer to why him is, why not? He's absolutely perfect for me.
Is there anything you want to tell him?
I just want to tell her
I love him, and that he's the only one for me.
how special she is and how excited I am.
He often says that he feels less than because there's so many other guys out there in the world, but to me, he's the best one out there.
To start this journey together with her.
And I'm super proud of him for all he does and for his testimony, the love, and the success that he wants with his family, his relationship with Christ. So, to me, he's one in a million.